I got to be honest with you. I'm really nervous doing this. I'm not that comfortable with
You're nervous.
Well, I'm not really comfortable teaching kids because with adults I know how to reach them, but kids are tough.
You just gotta talk to them like children. Teach them like children. Be funny with them.
Hi, kids! But they're 18 and over. They're not kids.
Oh, they're adults. No, you gotta talk to them and treat them like adults. Definitely, they're adults.
No, look. To learn, you have to listen, okay? Listen, pay attention, all right? The first time you roll a 7, you get the money on the line. After that, if you don't get your point and you roll a 7, you lose. That's how the game works, all right, guys? Pay attention.
I think the younger you are when you start cooking, the better, because you're very creative right now and nothing is stopping that creativity. And that's how we get interesting dishes. Cooking is half science and half art. Today, we are going to cook chicken cutlets. You're going to spice them up any way that you want. We have a ton of herbs here, and whoever I feel made the best chicken cutlet, flavor-wise, is getting a $100 gift certificate to my restaurant. The main ingredient has what's called major flavors and minor flavors. If I put a blindfold and you guys couldn't see, and I gave you a piece of chicken or a piece of steak, you should be able to tell the difference without looking at it, that you're eating beef or you're eating chicken. That's a major flavor. Now, the major flavor doesn't change so much regardless of how you cook it. So if we boil the chicken, or we grill the chicken, or we fry the chicken, you should know that it's chicken. A minor flavor is a variation that comes off of the chicken after you prepare it, or based on what part of the chicken that you're cooking. So if you're making a chicken breast, you know what that tastes like. If you're making a chicken wing, you should know what that tastes like too. They both taste like chicken, but there's differences in the flavor. The spices that you use when you're cooking are going to either enhance the major flavor or the minor flavor. So if you took a piece of boiled chicken and you put a little bit of habanero pepper, or you took a piece of grilled chicken and you put a little bit of habanero pepper on it, it's going to be very different in flavor. Because by grilling the chicken, you're enhancing the minor flavors. You're introducing char, you're introducing smoke. So these spices are going to be enhancing the minor flavors. So when you're coming up with a dish, you need to understand what herbs do what. You also need to understand that the herbs are going to be different based on how you cook the dish. Sometimes you're going to add herbs after. Sometimes you're going to add herbs during, like while it's cooking. Sometimes you're going to add herbs before, which is like a marinade. If you guys want to work in this field, what I look for as an owner of a restaurant when I hire a chef is consistency. That means that when I tell you to make the dish this way, it's got to taste that way every single time. Now, consistency is science. It's a method. Consistency is mechanical. You have to do everything the same. Religion, boom, nothing changes. If you decide that you're going to come into the kitchen one day and you're going to grab the herbs and you're going to go, oh, da, 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 and it comes out great, you better be able to make it great the next day, because when I go to that restaurant, I have that dish and I go, oh, that is so delicious. And I go back the next time, I'm like, that's not the same. We have a problem. People don't go back to that restaurant. Now, where the art comes in, which is what we're here today to have some fun, is the design of the dish. That's the art. How you want to make it taste. And that is based on your personality. I've been cooking for 35 years, And every day I learn something. But I know one thing that will always destroy your ability to cook, and that's fear. Don't be afraid to fail. Failure is your best friend. And that doesn't mean that you put out a terrible dish and you serve it to somebody and they don't like it. That means you made a dish, it didn't taste right. And you got to understand why it didn't taste right. Learning why your food doesn't taste right is just as important as making a dish that does taste right. If you want to use somebody else's recipe, that's fine. I don't care. If you want to get experimental, that's fine. If you do decide to experiment and say, I'm just going to come up something from my own head, make sure that you write it down. Exactly what you did. Because if you don't, and it's awesome, it's gone. Unless it's very, very simple. Now there are a ton of spices here. It's all about scent, texture, and flavor. You're going to try to figure out what you want to do and how you want to marry them together. Now, just think about this for a second. What has a stronger flavor? A grape or a raisin? The raisin? Okay, because it's much more concentrated, right? Dry herbs are much more concentrated. Fresh herbs are less concentrated. There's more moisture in them. So remember that when you're using the herb. Now the herbs here that we chose are, for the most part, organic. Why is an organic herb taste better than an herb that's not organic? One of the things that you're going to learn when you take the food manager's course is about a bacteria called a spore. It's called Perfringens, Clostridium Perfringens. If you want to kill Clostridium Perfringens, do you have any idea what temperature you have to cook the food to? Anybody? 265 degrees. That's ashes. Nothing gets cooked to 265 degrees. You have to only kill it by burning it. Clostridium Perfringens, for the most part, comes from the ground. Whenever they grow herbs, they have to kill the weeds and they have to kill the bugs. Now they also are very afraid of what's called Clostridium Perfringens, which is a bacteria you cannot kill by cooking. So when you buy herbs that are non-organic, they're sprayed with very strong herbicides, very strong pesticides, and in order to kill this bacteria, they irradiate them. That means that they put it through an X-ray machine. So you're taking a very beautiful, delicious flour that's supposed to enhance your food, and you're introducing chemicals and radiation to it. If you taste an herb that is organic, it has a much better flavor than an herb that is non-organic. It's night and day, and it really shows up in the food. Take all the herbs that are in the box, put them in the labeled containers so you can get an idea of what they smell like. You can taste it a little bit if you want. You're going to take a piece of chicken. You're going to marinate it any way that you want. The best chicken gets a $100 gift certificate to my restaurant. Congratulate yourselves. I narrowed it down to 2 people, but I think one person just a little different, a little bit better than the rest, but I would have to give it to Gustavo. Sometimes the greatest gift is giving back, and being able to share with these young men and women was more of a blessing to me than it was to them. Thanks for tuning in. Please consider subscribing. See you again real soon.